Federal Drug Enforcement Administration says a week-long cartel crackdown led to nearly 200 arrests just in New England. The DEA says they were all members of the Sinaloa Cartel, the largest drug cartel in the world.
4 a.m., Chicago, Illinois. The city they call the Crossroads of America lay shrouded in the darkness before dawn. Towering skyscrapers stood like silent sentinels against the bitter wind rolling off Lake Michigan. To the handful of delivery drivers navigating empty streets and workers heading to early shifts, Chicago appeared deserted. But appearances deceive. Beneath highway overpasses and within the maze of industrial rail yards, something unprecedented was taking shape. This wasn't a routine police operation. This was the deployment of a military-scale force. Unmarked surveillance vans, tactical armored vehicles, and rapid response units from the FBI, ICE, and the DEA were converging with surgical precision. And Chicago wasn't alone. At that exact moment, synchronized operations were launching across 21 additional metropolitan areas. From the sprawling ports of Long Beach to the dense suburbs surrounding New York City, thousands of federal agents were executing the largest coordinated strike against organized crime in modern American history. The operation had a name: the Surge. The enemy wasn't some local street gang. It was a multinational criminal empire, the Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation cartels. For years, these organizations had operated with virtual immunity, transforming major American cities into distribution nodes for their deadly merchandise. But this morning marked a turning point. The rules of engagement had been rewritten. The directive from the highest levels of government was unambiguous: shut down the supply lines, dismantle the networks, bring the architects of destruction to justice. If you stand with the courageous men and women of ICE and the FBI who put their lives on the line every day to protect our nation from these threats, For decades, Chicago has served as the operational epicenter of cartel distribution networks. It functions as the central hub where fentanyl and methamphetamine arrive from southern entry points, get processed and repackaged, then flow outward to saturate the entire eastern seaboard. In a lightning-fast overnight assault this Monday, federal forces delivered one of the most devastating blows to the Sinaloa Cartel in recent history. These criminal organizations treated Chicago like their Fortune 500 headquarters. They established sophisticated supply chains, employed financial accountants, hired logistics coordinators, and maintained armed security forces that functioned as private militias. But the most dangerous element of their operation wasn't the narcotics themselves. It was their ability to remain invisible. They operated in broad daylight. They didn't just lease warehouses. They purchased protection. Intelligence gathered in the months leading up to the surge exposed a terrifying truth. The threat wasn't just crossing the border, the threat was already embedded within our institutions. The cartels had evolved beyond simple bribery of criminals. They had successfully infiltrated the very agencies tasked with stopping them. As federal convoys approached their targets, massive distribution facilities masquerading as legitimate freight operations, the agents understood they were entering hostile territory. But they also understood something more disturbing. Some of the individuals they were about to arrest wouldn't be wearing gang colors. They would be wearing badges. The corruption ran deeper than anyone wanted to admit. County sheriffs, customs inspectors, federal officers, all had sold their allegiance for cartel money. They had transformed the badge of law enforcement into a weapon for the enemy. As the first breaching charges detonated against reinforced steel doors of a warehouse in Chicago's industrial zone, the nature of the drug war fundamentally shifted. This was no longer merely a law enforcement operation. This was a purge. The pre-dawn silence exploded with the crack of flashbangs and commanding voices. Federal agents, get down! The assault had begun, and for the first time in years, the Sinaloa Cartel was about to experience real fear. What federal agents discovered inside those Chicago facilities exceeded anything encountered in previous operations. This wasn't small-time dealers hiding drugs in spare tires. This was an industrial-scale assembly line manufacturing death itself. When tactical teams breached the primary logistics center near the rail yards, they found proof of the cartel's complete transformation. Behind false walls constructed of reinforced steel and concealed within shipping containers labeled as industrial cleaning products, they uncovered a massive stockpile. The seizure reports tell a horrifying story. From this single coordinated operation, federal teams confiscated a staggering 8,118 pounds of fentanyl. For perspective, just 2 milligrams can be fatal to an adult. The quantity sitting in that warehouse represented enough lethal doses to kill every person in the United States several times over. But the drugs were only part of the story. Agents discovered industrial pallets stacked with vacuum-sealed cash, cryptocurrency hardware wallets, and gold bullion. The DEA confirms this seizure connects operations spanning 6 states and extending into Mexico, all targeting the Sinaloa Cartel, which the current administration recently designated as a foreign terrorist organization. The total value of assets seized during this synchronized nationwide strike exceeded $200 million. This represented the war chest of the Sinaloa and CJNG cartels, funds used to corrupt officials acquire military-grade weaponry and maintain their supply infrastructure. Then came the arrests. The coordination of the surge resulted in 5,000 suspects taken into custody within months. These weren't street-level dealers working corners. These were the operations managers, the chemists, the financial controllers, and the enforcement units. The entire mid-level command structure of the cartel's American operations was dismantled in a single stroke. This discovery confirmed what investigators had long suspected. The cartels no longer operate like traditional criminal gangs. They function as multinational corporations with sophisticated business models. They maintain supply chains stretching from chemical manufacturing facilities in China and India, where precursor chemicals originate, to super labs in Mexico, and finally to these distribution hubs in American cities like Chicago. The investigation revealed that the fentanyl epidemic isn't some unfortunate byproduct of drug trafficking. It is a deliberately engineered attack, a chemical weapon disguised as a narcotic, systematically introduced into America's heartland to destabilize communities and destroy families. The financial architecture exposed by these raids proved equally sophisticated. Money collected in Chicago wasn't simply transported south in vehicles. It was laundered through shell corporations, converted into real estate investments in Miami, and processed through offshore cryptocurrency platforms. The cartels were weaponizing the American financial system itself, transforming drug profits into legitimate enterprises like trucking companies and entertainment venues. We're actively tracking the identities of high-ranking officials and corporate entities connected to this financial network. To stay informed as more details emerge in this ongoing war, make sure to subscribe and activate notifications. The raids also uncovered a disturbing connection to border security challenges. Among seized documents were internal communications demonstrating how cartels were exploiting migrant flows to conceal their shipments. They deliberately overwhelmed Border Patrol resources, with masses of people creating diversions to slip massive industrial loads through gaps in enforcement. Perhaps the most alarming discovery was the weapons pipeline. Federal agents in Portland, Oregon intercepted a convoy as part of the surge carrying hundreds of military-grade firearms, AR platform rifles, .50 caliber weapons, and full auto conversion kits hidden beneath crates of agricultural products.